Hi and welcome to another analysis video. I recently just played the under 2200 in Hampstead. I did a walk-in video which I'm going to play now, so I'm going to let this guy talk and then I'll do a bit of game analysis afterwards. So without further ado.
Good morning all. Just trying to work out where my camera is. It's over this side. Okay, so I'm outside the Hampstead tournament, under 2200 I'm playing today. Just found out I've got the first round opponent is someone who I played actually in the last round of the Golders Green tournament, and I've got the same colour, so I suspect we'll be getting the same opening, so at least I can do some quick prep. It was a Sicilian Nador, so I suspect it'll be the same again, but I doubt it'll play B4 this time. But anyway, we'll find out later. This is not what this video is about completely. No, I wanted to show the venue and the lovely streets of Hampstead. This is Hampstead. This is the road it's in. There's loads of shops over that way, loads of coffee shops. This is probably one of the nicer towns in London, especially North London, because I'm not a big fan of North London, but you know, people like North London. Anyway, this is the venue. So I'm going to open the door. Now, there won't be any celebs today, just because it's an under 2200 and no open tournament, but you do get the odd celebrity chess train every now and then. This is Adam's little organising room, where he's all ready for round one. This is Adam again.
That's the secret office.
Secret office.
No one knows where that is.
Yeah, and you know, they don't go in there and hassle him all the time, no. So, this is the main playing hall, or room as it's probably a better thing to call. The mirror makes it look a lot bigger, which is always good. The under 2200 will be on that side. This side will be the under 1900 and the under 135 ECF. But yeah, so looking forward to the tournament as always. Always do on the first round, and we'll just see how it goes, because by round 3 or 4, not always so good. But anyway, I'll obviously tack on, hopefully, if it goes well, one of the games today. And I'll be back online later. Bye for now.
Right, so that was the walk-in video. As I say, I did play that. That was the second time that I got this opponent. He didn't play the Sicilian Nador. There we go. That's better. Let's get the game up. Right, sorry, I'm still being a bit cack-handed here. Come here, game one, and stay there. That's it. Now you're in view. Okay. So, let me quickly just put the game on. Gosh, this would be the third time lucky. There we go. Wow, I'm so professional, guys. Pats are in not just chess, but in doing chess videos too. Not much more to say than that. So let me load in game one, which was against a 2070 FIDE. He's from Argentina, so he doesn't have an ECF, but it converts to about 180, 185, something like that. So he's pretty strong. But you know, I'd already drawn with him in a very complicated game, so I was feeling okay. I was like, yeah, okay, it's a bit unlucky to be black twice, but I can go for it. Just loaded the game in now. Let me just take off the computer because it's not needed right now. And even the computer val, we don't need that either just yet. Right, I was black, and instead of a Nadorf, we had a Dutch. So this is a classical Dutch. If you haven't played the Dutch before, go to Simon Williams' website and have a look at his Killer Dutch DVD. It's very good, very funny as well. Also, you can go on his YouTube and just have a look at his free stuff. He plays the Dutch literally every single YouTube video because he loves it and he's good at it, mostly. So the classical Dutch, not really much to say other than I've seen this line many times online. I haven't played it so much over the board. I've only been playing the Dutch for about a year, I have a lot to learn. Adam, the organizer, he plays the Dutch. He's a strong player too. He's 2100 FIDE. He's been playing it for much of his life, and he's still learning stuff on it. And I'm a baby in my Dutch life. But it's a great opening. I'm enjoying it so far. But this game, unfortunately, was me learning the hard way about something, which I'm just about to talk about now. So this is all standard. Whoa, 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 whoa! You hold your horses, computer. It's getting all eager there. Knight e4. It's a move. It's not terrible. Let me just give a computer a vow of that. There you go. So it's point two for white. So that's good for black, as far as I'm concerned, because you're always slightly down as black at the beginning. That's the whole point of being white, because you get the advantage. So you try and serve first, as if it was a tennis match. So you're on the front foot. There's lots of lines. Instead of knight e4, there's a5. It's a completely different opening. You can play queen e8. That's another way of sneaking around to maybe g6 or to g5. H5, sorry. But currently I'm exploring this line, and I'm just about to learn a bit of a harsh lesson. So no surprises. I lose this game, but it's definitely the opening that put me in a real bad place. So that's why I'm only going to show the opening. The game went on for 40 plus moves, and I fought as hard as I could, but I was never better than 0.8 down. And it got worse and worse gradually, and it just wasn't a good game. So I'm not going to show this. The main reason I'm showing this one is just for the opening trick. If not to pass on this knowledge to you guys, but just to enforce it to myself. Queen c2, very normal. I take the knight, which is also correct. Computer, as you can see, a vowel is saying black's doing fine. I'm taking the vowel off now, just for a second. I'm used to. Literally all my games are queen takes knight, and then you have a fight. You can decide to put your bishop here to pin the pawn, maybe play c5, or you can just play queen over. You know, very many lines. But I'm used to the queen being on c6, so I'm comfortable in them games. What I haven't come across yet is b takes, and I went to a big think here, and sometimes just going to a big think doesn't equate to a good move. In the opening, you tend to have to know openings. They're not always intuitive. Sometimes they are. Sometimes you can get away with it, but most of the time not. The only things I know about the Dutch for 100% sure is e4 must be met with f4 or e5 for you to have an even game / a chance for the advantage. If white can play e4 and you have to take, then you'll have a big problem on e6. Basically, and you don't get a lot of play. Even though you've got an open F file, it doesn't matter, because the F pawn's totally defended. You'll never get in there, basically. So that's why you must avoid have the two answers to E4, which are F4 or E5. So I blunder, trying to play E5 if he plays E4, because what I've forgotten is I'm no longer defending this pawn enough times. So for instance, e4, if I take, no, sorry, hang on, I don't want to take, that's the whole point. If I play e5 now, unfortunately, because my knight is now blocking the bishop, he can just take the pawn, and I'm a pawn down, and I've got a really bad position as well. So it's double bad, because the bishops are going to be great on this open position. After swapping more pawns, I just get destroyed. Now, that was a mistake. As I say, the game went on for quite a while, and I obviously didn't do that. I just played knight f6, and I played knight f6, and we grovelled. I grovelled on for quite some time, but I was always worse. And as I say, I don't want to go there. Don't need to go there. Another day, if someone really desperate wants to see how to lose in the Dutch, once you've gone wrong, you can request, and I'll possibly do it for you. But no, now. Let me go back to b takes c. Now I really wanted to play knight c6, because this way I'm not blocking in the bishop. So I can then play, if he plays e4, I can play e5, no problem. And I'm happy again, it's a normal Dutch position. The problem with what I thought was a problem is if I play knight c6, and it's a move that you run into a lot in the Dutch, which is just really painful, and that is just d5. Because your normal escape square is over in b4 and attack the queen, and then you can potentially take quite safely on d5 because your knight's defending there as well. In this situation, that's not possible, and I've got to say my mind didn't switch to an idea that's actually in the Nimzo Indian to play against these 3 pawns. So it's now been refreshed. It's just a shame it couldn't have been refreshed in the game. As I say, I was expecting a Nadorf, so I did all my research on the bishop c4 Nadorf. So to suddenly be playing the Dutch was a bit of a shock to the system. But fair play to my opponent. That was good psychology, not just switching it from Sicilian variant, but a whole different pawn. Fair play to him. But as I said, the idea is a Nimzo idea. So if he does play d5 here, it's not actually a very good move. You play knight a5, and you target this pawn, which is a general idea of you target the c4 pawn in the Nimzo, and it works in this line of the Dutch. So it's something I will be remembering. The best line. This is a computer line as well, so it's not me just saying, "Oh yeah, I'll work this out afterwards." No, I've checked this. Okay, he takes this pawn. It's tempted to take back straight away. If you take back straight away, he's just going to drop his knight in, and it's a nice centralized knight. It's gaining time on your bishop, so your bishop's going to have to move again, even if it takes this pawn. Well, I'll play it on a little bit just to show. I'm sure I can get the computer involved here. I know people like a computer to be involved. So let me just quickly put this on level 1, not level 9. Level 9's too much. See, knight d4 as stated, and as I say, if you wanted to play something, yeah, I see why, yeah, because if you do bishop takes, I guess he's going to take. It's going to take f5, yeah, okay. I was wondering about this pawn that's defended by the queen. That's fine, and yeah, and you're just in a worse place here. It's going to bounce around that avow, but it could be better for black, and the way it can be better is simple. Is after d takes, and this is quite a logical move, believe it or not. c5, because you basically, okay, it feels a bit weird because you're leaving yourself with a backward d pawn, but you've got counter pawns to attack, so it's a plus minus situation. But the biggest plus is that you are stopping knight coming in here, and there's nothing saving this pawn. So we just play on a little bit. Knight defends the pawn once, and then you take the pawn with the bishop. Now you really are going to win this. I mean, yeah, okay, probably best move is maybe bishop d5 or something. But, not there. That would definitely win for black. But the computer vow, as you can see, is dropped down to even, which is perfect. That means that you've done well in the opening, you've equalised. Now you can start playing for a win. It's a completely different game. But my fear of d5 was wrong in this case, and the right move was knight c6. So obviously d5 isn't the right move for white, but we'll go into that another time. We don't need to do that now. So I just wanted to point that out, and that's why the opening didn't go particularly well for me, and it was fear of the unknown. I didn't know the position, and so I went to pieces. So that was game 1. I got ground down and I lost. Well, I can take a loss. That is my 4th slow loss in a row. I'm playing well in rapid, but not well in slow play, it seems. As you've seen from my other London League analysis, I'm finding it difficult to put the ball in the net after getting a good advantage. But okay, it's got to end at some point, the streak. So we'll chalk that one up to oh dear. So let me get the second game, which was a very, very decent effort from both me and my opponent. Sorry, I have to keep closing that to bring it back. Here we go. So now we're doing a new game. Thank you very much. Load, drop PGM. Here we go. PGN in and copy. I'm sure there's an easier way to do this, by the way, guys. I just still quite new to chess.com and how to use their bits and bobs. But let me load, paste. And we're in. Right, let me take the computer down. The computer valve for the beginning position says it's a win for white, so that's good. This computer's been working hard on these positions. We'll hide that as well. Okay, so this one, my opponent's 1886 or 163 ECF. So he's decent. He knows what he's doing. And what I find out is that this guy is massively tactical, and very strong with the tactics, but strong when he needs to be. Let's put it that way. I think he may be a little bit casual. Maybe he saw my rating was a bit lower, and he thought maybe I don't know what I'm doing, which is fair. And if he'd watched any of my YouTube videos, he probably thought I would mess up. But no further ado, let's get into the game. So e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop e4, Roy Lopez. Now, I'm not going to do this too often, but I will explain why you're playing this opening. Initially, it's to put pressure against e5, so the opening tricks are around e5. The biggest trick to note is that this pawn isn't as weak as it looks. An example of this is if black plays a6, you take the knight, thinking, great, this is no longer defended. Takes back with a pawn. You go, thank you very much, I've won a pawn, and then unfortunately queen d4, attacking your knight and the pawn, and there's no way to defend your knight without losing this pawn. So you bring your knight back, which is the best move, and black takes with check. Black has the bishop pair, and they can both get out, no problem. White's bishop's still stuck. You have an awful decision to make about putting your king on f1 or blocking with the queen, which is probably best. But you're in an ending where you're just slightly worse. I'm pretty sure the computer's going to say that. Let me just check that. There you go. You're 0.3 down. Who wants that as white? That's you thought you were winning a pawn, but you weren't, and you've ended up in a worse place. So that's the initial trick in the position. So sorry, whoops, bishop b5. So that's what you don't play. a6. You can take this knight, and it's the Roy Lopez exchange variation, but the point is you don't take the pawn afterwards, and it's a long game, and I'll go into it another day because I do play that line too sometimes. But I like the main lines, so I'm sticking to main lines. Even to the Marshall, I like the Marshall. People are a bit scared of it, but I've got a couple of side lines that people don't know so well, and I've had good results with. But again, I'll come across a master at some point in my future, so I'll do some analysis on that when it happens. So you drop your bishop back because it's attacked. He's now attacking the e-pawn. If he takes the e-pawn, then it's the open Roy Lopez. Again, I'll go through the open Roy Lopez when I get it on the board. No point now because it's just a completely different game. Attacks the bishop. Fine. Bishop drops back. At some point, he'll want to drop his knight in to harass the bishop some more. He can't straight away because you win the e-pawn. This time you do win the e-pawn because after knight here, you just take the e-pawn. Even if he takes your bishop and you take back with a pawn and he takes your e-pawn, you've got rook e1, d3. There's lots of problems for this knight after if he tries to take the pawn back. So basically, you're not winning a pawn. Black, sorry, is not winning his pawn back. So that's why he waits one more move because now the king can't be checked by the rook. So now the pawn's on pre, so I have to do something about the pawn. I defend it. So it's all logical at the beginning. d6, as I was just saying about the knight to a5 maneuver, d6 now defends e5, so he can now play knight a5 no problem. He can also play bishop g4. This pin is really frustrating because your knight really wants to defend d4, and it has big trouble doing so if the bishop's pinning it. And if you start kicking the bishop around, you open up your king. Sometimes that's good, sometimes it's bad, and that's part of the judgment of the position you have to make when you get there. c3 allows my bishop to drop back to c2 if he plays knight a5. I don't want him to win my bishop. It's a good bishop. It's currently on the best diagonal, but it's not too bad on c2 either. It can be attacking h7 at some point. And c3 is a multi-purpose move. It's also threatening, not threatening, but I can play d4 as well. In other lines, when the bishop's out of the way, I can play b4, maybe a4, and I can expand. So c3 is quite a logical move. Yes, I am allowing him to do the pin, but at the moment, it's not so bad. And in these situations, I probably would play h3 and g4, push the bishop all the way back to just pointing at a pawn that is going to be easily defended enough times. Bishop back, knight d2. So he'll be sitting with a little bit of a dead bishop on g6. But again, that's another game, and it will happen because people do play that way. Attacking the bishop, as I said, I don't want to lose the bishop. Also, playing your knight to a5, you're freeing up the chance to play c5. My opponent doesn't play c5 in this game, just to throw that in, a bit of a spoiler, but that's pretty much the reason why you put your knight to a5. You harass the bishop, gain time and play c5. But he doesn't. He castles, which is a very normal move. I don't want him to pin if I can help it, and I really don't mind the bishop on this diagonal. I mean, it is strong, and the plan will be for him to bring his rook, his bishop back, play g6, and play his bishop here. Seen this hundreds of times. You just put big pressure on white's centre, which is, you know, a nice straightforward plan, which is why I'm tempted to take up e5 myself very soon. I still got to do a lot of work on e5 before I do that. I'll come to that later on. So for now, quite happy for his bishop to go to b7, which is the best diagonal. It's not going to do much on e6. Might even become a target to knight g5. So bishop e7, natural and best. I expanded the centre as previously foretold. You know, that's the whole point of playing c3. I've got to fight for the centre as much as possible. Rook e8, as I say, he's attacking the e pawn indirectly. Bishop g5. So this was just aimed at not making it easy for him. If he drops his bishop back straight away, then I've got a nice pin. And it's not easy for him to play g6 and bishop g7 when there's a piece always threatening to take the knight at some point. Maybe I can drag the queen to f6 when it doesn't want to be there. So he kicks the bishop, which is correct. Bishop drops back. I want to maintain this for a while. If he plays g5, then I have a new target. I'll be attacking. I'll drop my bishop back, perhaps play h5. This square also, if this pawn's here, this square's really weak, so I'd be happy either way there. If he did play g5, he doesn't. He offers the exchange of bishops. The computer actually says the best move is to take this bishop, but I'd rather play in my ideas rather than like a computer will just evaluate and say this is the best move at this point, and then it won't explain why. So in my head, I'd rather my bishop was back on g3 and I'm attacking e5. I just want to keep putting pressure here and at some point maybe push my pawns. Because if I can push these centre pawns, suddenly this bishop comes alive. You'll be amazed how often you can get this sort of scenario. And it's just very strong and hard to defend. You end up causing weaknesses in the position. Maybe you can attack h6 at some point. So I wasn't too interested in swapping off bishops. So I'd rather just keep going along in the centre, which is what I did. Bishop f6. Okay, so the bishop's got to be somewhere a little bit more useful. It's now at least attacking down the centre. This knight is misplaced, and this knight is misplaced. So I'm sure this position, I've got an edge. I've not even noticed that the computer's been on the whole time. And that makes perfect sense. I'm 0.5 up because I'm going to close it now because I think I only really want to bring it in crucial moments. It's obvious that White's doing well here. I've only got one more piece to develop, and his pieces are a little bit all over the shop. The plus sides are though, it's very solid. His king's not under attack. He has got some pressure on the centre of the board. You know, let's draw some arrows just to highlight this. You know, it's not like he's got nothing from a position. It's just he's also got some weaknesses too. So I'll bring in my last piece. As I say, his bishop's on b7, so the knight will potentially want to come back round. He can't go to g3 because of the bishop's there. At some point, I don't know when it was going to happen. I think if he had pushed his g-pawn, I was always going to drop my bishop back. And then perhaps my knight could have come out this way. Sometimes it's useful to be still be defending the e-pawn. It doesn't do that from e3. But at least you'd have the extra option of maybe putting your knight into d5. And these are just general plans in the Roy Lopez. So the next move by my opponent's a blunder. I get that he wants to bring his knight back into play, but it loses a pawn. I think, and he is, as what's going to happen later on, he very much looks out for tactics. You know, I learned this during the game. I didn't know about his style beforehand. I guess you can take, if people play the Sicilian or e5, there probably are tactical players rather than positional players, but in this case, he's seen quite far, but he's evaluated the position completely wrong because he's missed a move. This is a very weak pawn on c4. Obviously, I'm going to attack it. There's not a lot he can do. There's no way to defend it. He can't play d5 because his centre will just crumble. I'm just going to absolutely bash him. D6 is keeping his centre alive. So there's no saving the c pawn. So what he's relied on is this little manoeuvre. Bishop c6. And now, if I hadn't seen past this, I mean, I took a while to play queen e2 because I could obviously see this far in my head without too much trouble. It's not very complicated. He's obviously going to drop his bishop into b5. So I'll just demonstrate, and this is obviously what he saw. If my queen goes here, takes a pawn, great, I've won a pawn. But now my queen doesn't have so many squares. I'm like, okay, so let's just do some obvious squares. So if I go there, just play c6, so he's going to force me to go where he wants me to go anyway, which is here. And then you're thinking, oh right, then look, his bishop's trapped, so potentially I'm going to play a4 and I'll win a piece. But no, he just plays rook b8, and then the bishop can do what it likes, basically. He can go wherever, because there's always going to be an undiscovered attack on the queen. And the queen only really has one square, and I don't know, maybe d5's coming, maybe bishop e7. This is stuff I don't want to deal with. I'm trying to work this out from a standing position from here. From this position, I'm thinking about that position, and I'm not good enough to keep that in my head and go through the lines. What I did see was my queen has no squares, but there's still no reason not to take that knight anyway, because it's just bad knight. So when I got to this position, funny enough, I could see further, because sometimes you just need to be able to see the position on the board before you can make your decisions, and that's a big argument to say that even when you've worked out a combination of moves, that you should play them one at a time and then reassess. It's easy to say and it's not easy to do, especially when your clock's ticking, and you get emotional during the game. Like here I'm thinking, oh, he's giving me a bit of an edge, so I'm already influenced. I should be as cold as ice, but I'm not. I'm like, oh, that looks like a mistake, I'm going to punish you for that. How do I punish you? So we get to this position, and this is where it diverges, because I know that I need more squares if I'm going to do that, and this is what he missed, and that's d takes e. Now I've got an extra square, and that makes all the difference. It also, this pawn can be attacked again by the queen with the square that's been freed up. I'm not going to cause a surprise here. I'm just going to go through the moves quickly, because that was the whole point of e takes d. Is now my queen has an extra square on c5, and now I'm attacking this pawn 3 times as well. I am a clear pawn up here. With an edge, you'd almost say I was 2 pawns up, and in my head I think I probably was 2 pawns up, but I'll let the eval go for a little bit just to see if it changes from 1.3. Sorry, just get some water. Okay, so it's bouncing. It's about 1.4, so it's not quite 2 pawns, and this is where optimism gets a little bit of the better of me, because I'm like, how does he even defend this pawn? If he plays bishop back, I'm just going to take it with the queen. There's no good undiscovered attack, and in fact I'll just take this pawn too, wherever the bishop goes. Okay, so the bishop goes to d6, well the queen can go, I don't know, can either go to d5 or f5 or even d4. I've got a lot of choices where to go. Potentially you could swap the bishop here, so I'd have to have a think about it. But I'm not fussed about this and this after I take here. I'm just trying to think. Where would I have gone? Let's have a look. Okay, so takes bishop here. Now what would I play here? Because I'm 2 pawns up. Looks like potentially I'm going to get a weaker pawn though. So maybe this is a little bit too greedy. Maybe this is a way for my opponent to play. I'm going to ask the computer to help me out here. I am 2 pawns up. Okay, so it's probably going to be a messy finish though. So I'll just switch the line on just quickly, just so we can have a look together. Queen f5 is the best move. Okay, yes, okay, because I've got this. Remember what I was saying earlier? You've always got this. So yeah, this is a nice position for white. That's why I'm going to keep my 2 pawns. All good. So let me turn that off. Don't need that anymore. Bye bye. Thank you for your time. Check's in the post. He'll never see it. Never see that check. He's not getting it. Not that I'm a bad player. It's just he doesn't deserve it, because he's just too good at chess. And he upsets a lot of people because of that reason. Anyway, enough of that personification. Queen drops to c5, as I said. Knight g5. Okay. Now I've already unfortunately committed in my head that I'm taking this pawn. I haven't reassessed the position, and to be fair, I just don't see what's coming. I'm not that level of one, paranoia to be looking for this, and maybe I do need to be at this level of paranoia, or two, skill. I mean, this was immense by my opponent. I've got to say, I can't say enough about how good this spot was. I take the pawn because I'm like, it's a pawn, it's a free pawn, I'm taking it, thank you very much. He's seen this, and this is pretty impressive. Queen d2. Oh, Queen d2. Right, Queen d2. That's it's a move, I guess. Wasn't really expecting it. He's attacking a bishop. Okay. Oh, I see what he's trying to do. I'll move my bishop, and he'll win a pawn back this way. Fair enough. Okay, I didn't calculate that. He saw it as a quick analysis. You know, not quite amazing. It's not very amazing, is it? That's because that's not what he's threatening. This is pretty immense. Also, because he's attacking my bishop, I'm like, whoa, my bishop's sitting here. I mean, gosh. I mean, that's a good place for a bishop if ever I saw a bishop. All I got to do is kick that knight. He's got no defense on f7. Oh, okay, you can swap the knight off. But you get my point. I'm like, so is he actually scaring me into a better position? If he takes that b pawn, surely I'm just better. I definitely am. Of course I am. So I play bishop c2. Still feeling pretty good here. And I actually thought maybe my opponent's cracked a bit. And, you know, he's losing and he's just like desperado move. But his follow-up is very good. There's just no denying it. And if you don't agree with this, I'll be a bit shocked. Bishop takes knight. I'm like, okay, fine. I've got that defended. That's the whole point of taking that pawn, is I defend it enough times. Bang. Just bang. Like, seriously, head in hands time. Like, what's this? What's going on? Hang on, I was attacking him. Wait, surely that doesn't work. What the hell? So you go through your initial panic before you calm down and start thinking normally again. And I was seriously thinking, well, if this works, then it's pretty amazing. Now, if I play king here, instant loss. Instant loss, but instant big trouble. Check. I'm pretty sure the eval here would be immense for black. Yeah, there you go. +3 straight away. And I remember I was thinking I was 2 pawns up. I'm suddenly a piece down. So I mean it's horrible. Wherever the king goes, it's not looking good. I mean, wherever the king definitely can't go here because of check, and then I'm losing the piece back anyway. King here. Alright, we'll play on a little bit. Let's see what king here is and what lose. How does that lose? How does that lose, computer? I was just trying to work out. It's -3, so it's got to be obvious. Let's have a look. No, I'm not going to hurt my head too much because it's quite a long game, so I need to get through it. So let me get the computer involved. Sorry. Maybe you should have looked at this before I put it online, eh? It's dropped down. No, it is free. Damn. So just knight where? Knight d3. Wow. Okay. Okay. So he's attacking the queen. Okay. Point is, I'm just getting run all over the place. I didn't need to look down this line to know it was bad. The whole point is, obviously, it's bad. So that gives me another square. So I could possibly go. So why is it not letting? Oh, because I moved there first. So the other square was here, and I'm pretty sure it's probably not as bad. But I still think he's probably just going to take on. Oh, it's queen takes this time. Okay, so offers the queens off. Yes, I mean, am I swapping? Yeah. Okay, fine. And he's just back level. Look at that. From 2 points down to I've got a tiniest of edges. And to be honest, psychologically, from this position, I 100% lose every time. Doesn't matter that it's low. I don't reset. I don't go, oh yeah, never mind. Oh yeah, that was clever. Well done, my opponent. No, I fall to pieces 100% because I've gone from thinking that I was going to win the game to, oh no. So immense find by my opponent. So that only left the third option, which is obviously the option I chose because I can calculate a little bit. Let me just turn off the computer. Sorry, computer, but we need you later on. We don't need you now. You can go away and have a rest. Well earned. Well earned. I might actually send that check in the post that I pretended that I wasn't going to do. So, knight check. I'll take it. Obviously, I can see the follow-up. Queen check. King to defend the pawn, the only pawn around my position, so I need to do that. And to be honest, after the initial shock, yes, I've given a pawn back. My position hasn't fallen apart. You know, I did calm down after a little while of calculating. I sat there for a good 15 minutes working out, can my king move anywhere? How bad is me taking the knight? Etc, etc, etc. Got to this point, was even like, if queen takes, then queen takes, rook takes, I'm still a pawn up. So, you know, I've totally relaxed again. I've gone through my moment of panic, and I've come out the other side. On the stormy waters is now sailing again, and I'm like thinking, no, I'm still okay. That was very clever of my opponent, but it's okay. Obviously, the best move is not to take with the queen, and he does play the best move. Rook takes, because you've got a bit of initiative. Attacking the queen's got to go somewhere useful. I had seen this far, and at this point, I evaluated as I've re-centralized. Okay, my pawns have been moved around a lot. I now have new facets to the situation, which is I now have a g-file to attack down. The bishop's still good. All reasons for me to still be very positive here. If he swaps queens, again, like I just said, I just take back the rook. I'm a pawn up. So, you know, that's all I wanted at the end. You only want to be a pawn up in the end game, and you're pretty much, you know, you're bossing it, basically. It's only loss or win or draw. There's no loss. So, at this point, I'm happy. Again, I got over the initial shock of what he did, but it was good tactics. Got to hand it to my opponent. I did not see any of that when I was taking that e-pawn. So he drops the queen back. He's a tactical player. I think he feels like he's going to get me more resources later, and he's probably right. Because it's an open position, stuff can go wrong for both sides. He probably just wants to bring his rook over and make me go passive, playing f3, something like that. But I have no interest. When that is the move I play, but that's quite amusing because I didn't actually mean to play that. He can't drop his rook back. I'd noticed this when I got to this position. He dropped his queen back. I knew his rook couldn't drop back to e6 because the bishop's defending e6. It's a very good bishop, I've got to say, in lots of lines. And in lots of lines, it can drop back to c2, and it's also still a very good bishop. So he puts his rook, as you can tell, this guy is a positive fella, attacking the pawn. And again, it's already tactical. He's threatening to bring his bishop back and then take the pawn and win the queen. But luckily, my plan also coincides with defending this pawn and attacking his king. So quite naturally, rook g1, attacking the down the g file, and I can rook lift up to g3 and be okay, defensively and attacking. So bishop back as foretold, and as foretold. So he moves his king out the way. He can see there's going to be a lot of pressure on the g pawn. He wants to bring his rook over, more defense. So he's definitely taken on now, hopefully, the task of defending, and I can get on with my attack, which is very natural. There's no reason for me not to play the other rook over. This is a very big target in the position. Defends it. Now f5. It's not the best move in the position. Computer will say why very shortly. But I want to explain why I played f5. I was thinking of queen d4, which is the best move, by the way. And then I was thinking, but it's a little bit annoying when he plays g6, and I'm not sure there's a sack here of any sort of value. Even if I may potentially pick up the rook in quite a lot of the lines. I just didn't like g6. G6 seemed to be a move where he may actually be defending. Potentially, he can drop his rook in, fianchetto his rook, which is an amusing thing to do. And he's defending both ways. And I didn't like that. So in my head, I'm like, well, I'll stop that. And the way to stop it is f5. Now, f5 also has other things that was very tempting for me. It's blocking the bishop attacking this pawn now. And also, it started my pawns moving, so at some point, perhaps I can do this as well. So I can't say I wasn't optimistic here, guys. Remember, I'm on the back of a 4-game losing streak. So I'm starting to think, yeah, ball in goal. ball in goal. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And I did. I got to say, I got overtly positive about my position, and why wouldn't I? Because you can see I'm coming forward and at him. Look what the computer says. It's not too much of a shock. I am winning, by the way, guys. I want to drop that in case you're thinking, what, you're losing? No, I'm not losing. I'll wait half an hour for the computer to realise that he's back on. He's back on show. Come on. Oh, wow, really? Do I have to do this? He's been a bit shy. Okay, we'll wait for the computer to catch up. But it's going to be about 1.6, guys. I'm actually surprised why it's not working. Come on, what's wrong with you? I'm not going to press refresh because that can cause all sorts of trouble. And to be quite honest, we don't need the computer because I've seen this already. But I'm only 1.6 here. I mean, that's still good. I mean, I'm a pawn up and initiative. But it feels like I should be crushing, and I'm just not. So he plays rook h4. He's attacking his pawn. Fair enough. As I say, he's an active defender. I'd high five him if it wasn't for the fact that he was being a pain in the ass. I'm like, okay, fine, you can take that pawn. Go and have it. You have that pawn, and then of course there's a massive disaster on g7 because rook takes, and then queen is checkmate. Shakma, as they say in Arabia. So active defense, active attacking defense, you know, so we're both playing the same way. And now here, I've got to say, I started holding my head again. I'm like, what the hell is this? What is wrong with this guy? Why does he keep coming up with these moves? And we were talking about it afterwards, and he said it is an only move. And he's right. This is the only move that keeps him in the game. Because let's look at a couple of other moves, just superficially. F6 blocks the attack. Bishop takes, check, over. You can block the queen. I'll take the queen, and then I'll take the rook because the pawn has to take back, and the rook's undefended. So what else is there? How else can you defend the g pawn? You can't block the rook. There is no way to defend the g pawn. So what does he do? He plays g5, and there's a lesson there. You know, sometimes if it's the only move to play, you don't even really have to think about it too much longer. You just play it and hope for the best. Now, this just works out for him quite nicely, funny enough. Your first instincts, of course, is to take en passant. And then you go, rook takes. And you're like, ha ha ha, it's great, I'm going to crash through. And then you realise this bishop is no longer blocked by the pawn. Where's your king going? Well, it's only got one square, so it's going here. He's going to take the pawn back. And look how the position has transformed. His king is totally safe. I don't have any pawns in front of my king. And he has two pieces that can attack from distance. I'm in big trouble here. So I didn't do this. Obviously, I saw to this point and went, no, that's just not right. How can you get away with something like g5? Now, the computer, who's let me down a little bit, he still doesn't want to come back. Well, he's let me down. Says the best move is this. But why would I think like that? Why would I think, yeah, I'll just swap off this rook that's not really doing a lot. Okay, it's attacking his pawn, but remember there's an f-pawn here, and I'm not taking en passant anymore because I've moved my rook. But this apparently is the best move, and funny enough, I have to take back with a pawn, which again is unnatural. If I take back with a rook, it peters out to a draw somehow. I'm not even I don't remember exactly, but I think it's something like rook d8, keeping the pressure on here. And even though I can put the pressure on f7, it is counter pressure. He can wiggle around. The computer does. I think he may even play f6, something like that. I can't remember exactly, but it goes down to 0.2 advantage for me. So that's not happening if you take with a rook. But you can maintain a slight edge if you take here, because you've still got decent central pawns. You know, I can push. The king is a little bit naked, but he has to get to the king. And that would have been the right way to play. But I didn't do that. No. G5 shocked me too much. And I was still thinking, no, I must be crushing through even with this. So I played f6 a little bit fast. I'm basically trying to get his queen off the f-pawn and maybe start attacking like I just said with the queen here. He said he considered playing queen here. I wish he had. This is just, yeah, you pin the rook, but big deal. I'm just going to take your queen. And surely I'm just in a very good place here. But he only considered it. And the reason he considered it, because he was low on time. He only had about 4 minutes left. And I hate to say that I had over half an hour here. So what's coming up is almost unexplainable. But maybe you can explain it to me, and then I can feel better about myself. So he drops the queen back. Best move. I do my first big blunder. I remember I've got a lot of time on my clock. I'm not even concentrating here. I'm just like, I'm so gutted about G5 has had a massive psychological effect on me. I can't deny it. And you guys can say, oh yeah, it shouldn't have affected you. You should have been fine. You just carry on. But it was a big shock because I thought I was crashing through, and I just didn't see a defense. And G5 just was like, wow, that just works. So this is my first blunder, and the blunder is literally a simple move. And as soon as I put my queen to D5, I knew his response, even though he had 3 or 4 minutes left. He calmly played bishop e6. It's fine. In fact, the eval drops down to 0.4 in favour for him, because he's just going to swap off my light square bishop after, and he's got no worries. His king's completely safe. If anything, he's in a more aggressive place than I am. Remember, he's on this pawn as well. This weakness hasn't gone away, and I'm just losing. But the next move is just totally inexplicable. All I can say is my emotions were all over the place in this game. But explain this move, you'd never guess. I mean, you're probably looking on the score sheet, but if you hadn't, you would never guess my next move. And my opponent literally went like this on the board. And I was like, why is he doing? And then of course I was just like, what? Well, black to win in one move. And I just resigned. I didn't even let him do it. But obviously the queen's on pre. But I really don't know what to say, guys. It's an absolute disaster. A bit like the London League game, which I failed to win when I was up +3 in that game. I don't think I was ever quite +3 in this one, but I was always doing well, and I thought I was playing, pretty decently. And for it to end that way it was a big shock to me, and I had to go down the pub. There was nothing better for me. I took a bye in the third round. If I'd played the third round, no way I'm winning. I've just lost 2 games, and one game where my opponent is just like in shock. He actually apologised to me. He doesn't need to apologise. It's my bad moves that this happened. Queen D5 was the heart sinker for me. Like, I've just absolutely thrown away my position, even though I should have just like fought harder and harder. I didn't. I just went to pieces, and there's no real explanation for that. I am a patzer. This is simple, but there's always going to be day 2. So I've played 2 guys. I've lost twice. I'm going to play someone who's in just as bad a situation as me in the morning, and we'll come to that on part 2. But as you can see, that's a bit of a sad finish to the video. But as I said, I went to the pub, had a couple of beers, felt better, stopped hating myself and chess, got over it, and I turned up the next day. So I'm going to do part 2 of the Hampstead videos after this. Probably going to release it in a couple of days. I don't think I'm just going to give a little break between them, just so you guys get to settle in and watch this, and I'll explain what happens in part 2 on the Sunday of the tournament shortly. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please like it. Please give me any comments, any advice would be helpful, other than just going to see a psychiatrist as to what the hell are you doing? Do you not want to win games of chess? I've gone on 11 game winning streaks with black.